I'm Niraj. I'm from Sri Lanka, and my talk here today is to talk about being a Drupal developer in a small country like Sri Lanka. So hopefully, my message is like hanging on to the community, being a part of the community, and just keep going. So hopefully, there'll be a takeaway for some people here. Okay, let's start. So I'm a full stack developer with expertise in almost like all of the PHP related frameworks and also Node.js and Vue.js. And and I'm a certified developer for Drupal as well as AWS. And I really like solving technical problems. And you can find me on all those platforms by the handle Meegama. So Meegama is my surname and N is just the initials for my first name. Yeah, so what I'm going to talk about today is I'll just explain about the history of Sri Lanka and what's happening now in Sri Lanka, use of technology, right, in Sri Lanka, and how Drupal kind of changed my life and brought me new opportunities. The D8 boom, how Drupal, the launch of Drupal 8 helped Sri Lanka and the community there, and also opportunities with Drupal, and how I found my opportunities, right? So yeah, starting. So I like to think of Sri Lanka like Wakanda, right? And our vibranium is like our people. So all throughout all the issues that we have had in the country, I think the core system that has held us together was the people in Sri Lanka, right? So the history. So we used to be called Ceylon, right? And we are a South Asian country, right below India, as you can see. And we have a documented history of about 3,000 years, but we have evidence that people lived about 125,000 years before. And we are also kind of geographically placed in a very critical place, I would say, in a naval route that connects the west and the east. So, in my opinion, that's a little very important. And early Sri Lanka, we used to be ruled by kings, and this was quite some years ago. And as a result of it, we have large Buddhist stupas, and even we have the fortress in the sky. And the fortress in the sky was once considered the eighth world wonder because of its irrigation system, taking water into the high mountain and all that. And we also have ponds used to give water to the people. That is the size of 7 large Olympic pools. You can see it today as well. So if you do visit Sri Lanka, make sure you kind of visit these places. They are really photographic, and yeah, you'll enjoy it. And also during the 16th century, we have had varying degrees of prominent European powers ruling the country, the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the British. Therefore, you would see some colonial influence in the country, like the forts, the tea plantations, and all these things. But if you visit the ports, they are really beautiful, especially during the sunrise or the sunset. Yep. So Sri Lanka now. And when I mean now, I want to emphasize that this is from the early 2000s towards this to present. Right. So we've been through a civil war of 26 years, which caused the country to go back quite a lot. And there was a time that people would, go in buses in total terror, because you never know when kind of a bad thing would happen, right? And then the next big hit for Sri Lanka was the tsunami in 2004. And the one picture on the right is the Galle Cricket Stadium. If you kind of know about cricket, it was completely destroyed. This is a test playing ground, and so very popular. And this is the train that was damaged by the tsunami, and a lot of people lost their lives who were traveling in the train in the south coast. And next, when we were pulling in from 2004, I think 2012, 2010 was like a good time for technology in Sri Lanka. People would invest, but then we had a devastating Easter bomb attack in 2019, and that hit a couple of churches and also major tourist hotels in the midst of Colombo. Colombo is the main city, main economical hub in Sri Lanka. So that was like a big hit because Sri Lanka at the time was running using tourism. So imagine like a person running like a juice shop, right, near the beach. They would have no tourists, and their lifestyle, it would affect their lifestyle really badly. And next is COVID-19. That also kind of pulled us back and this is when we were recovering from the 2009 Easter bombings. And then the economic crisis due to like poor judgments made by the governments and all that. So we had 13-hour power cuts. So we didn't have power for 13 hours. And I remember it was really hard for me to handle Drupal clients because of these power cuts. And we used to wait in queues just for like 20 liters of fuel for about 3 days, right? And it was really, really difficult for us to, especially for people in IT to keep going, to do their work. So people would, get car batteries, connect them together just to get power, yeah. Yep. And as a result of this, the people stepped up, and we actually managed to grow our own food. And this is me actually before the revolution, kind of trying to get the people to come and support the movement. And as a result, we were able to make the government back then step down, which is a huge, huge achievement, because the people got to know that they had the power to do it. And that is a big kind of turn in the way to, economic development. So now, right now, we have the most educated parliament, and I'm very happy and hopeful that we would do good things. And this is also because of the people, a change that we didn't expect, and we didn't think that was possible because the people came together and voted out all the entire parliament actually. Almost 96% of the previous parliament was voted out, and this is an entire new cabinet who consists of very educated people. So hopeful, right? So through all this, Sri Lanka always kept going. The media might have shown otherwise, but Sri Lanka people always kept doing, and this is because of the sense of community and kindness towards each other. And the fact that we could always rely on each other. Sometimes when people go without food, the neighbors would help out. And that's how people kind of survived. So just to use of technology in Sri Lanka. Just to give you an idea, about 58% of the workforce is informal employment, which means they are getting daily wages, and they are not necessary all of them are also using bank accounts, but some of them are just to save money. They are not doing any transactions or anything like that, just to save money. And a proper tax system was put in place last year. So that kind of pulled the country back really badly. And even now, people don't use technology or smartphones to do banking transactions, to go online on e-commerce websites. Mostly what people do is go on social media like Facebook and post and stuff. So hopefully this pattern will change, and I would also like to now tell everyone about the beauty of Sri Lanka. So we are a resourceful country, I would say, because we have like all the features of tourism. We have lush green mountains towards the middle of the country. We have some of the best beaches around, archaeological sites, best wildlife as well. So we have Yala National Park, which is a national park in Sri Lanka, that apparently has the most amount of leopards in South Asia. So yeah, come have a visit. You can visit all these places, and for probably less money as well. Okay, so amongst all of this, how did Drupal change my life, right? So in Sri Lanka, we have a free education system, right? And because of this, I was able to come from a middle class family and still get my degrees and enter the workforce in 2010. And this was all for free, right? So although you might think it's a third world country, our health and our education is free. So that has actually helped people come up in life, people like me. Right. So after getting my first job in 2010, in about 2 months, I got introduced to Drupal, and this was for Drupal 6, and we had to build a site for a university. And I was kind of amazed at the interface and what Drupal could do. This was don't just imagine that this was the day that we used to completely write code from scratch, just to get a form online, and we had to write all the database connections to enter the data and all this whatnot, right? But Drupal could do this in an instance. So I was actually hooked with Drupal, and we did a lot of, the site came up good. So that was a good entry to Drupal back in 2010. And I did like Drupal a lot, so it was one of my skills, and I just kept it added to my profile. And after about 18-month absence, my supervisor once came to me and asked, shall we do a project in Drupal? Because this is the time Drupal 7 just launched, right? And I said yes, because I knew Drupal had a good community and we could find help. And yeah, we stepped into it. And because of this, we were able to build the largest Drupal site in Sri Lanka, which is Sri Lanka Telecom. And Sri Lanka Telecom is the national telecommunication provider for Sri Lanka, and it is still run in Drupal and is the largest Drupal site in Sri Lanka even now. And during this time, because I had like a natural knack for things in Drupal, I was able to lead a team of 4 developers to the project, and all these 4 developers I trained myself, and we learned together after that actually, because sometimes we didn't know how to change a menu and how to place a block where we want to. Yeah, simple things like that. And this experience kind of made me get headhunted by a company called Zazy. And Zazy is a company that is working with the UK government. And yeah, so they recruited me as the first developer, and we went on to 8 developers actually. And this is not only in Sri Lanka, it's also in UK and even in Spain, and I got to lead the entire team. And this was my team back then in Sri Lanka. So our our first big challenge was to implement a single sign-on system between Alfresco, which is a document management system, and Drupal. And this was a huge challenge because they used a protocol called SAML, and we couldn't get the single sign-on working. And finally, the team in Sri Lanka kind of tackled the problem very well. And this solution was then introduced to many other government departments in the UK as well as in Sri Lanka. And by this time, I had trained close to 6 developers, and this is Reese signing one of our team pictures, which was a great moment. And then I also got to participate in my first DrupalCon, which was in Amsterdam. And this is when I kind of started contributing to Drupal heavily. The experience kind of got me started. And I became the first certified Drupal developer also in Sri Lanka. I am, unfortunately. And gave my first Drupal talk, and that was also in Singapore, in Drupal meetup into Singapore in 2015. And so my first DrupalCon talk was in 2016. This was DrupalCon Asia, and I made a talk on how Drupal can be used as a document management system. And after that, the D8 boom. Now, up to this point, I think we were about 10 developers in the community, right? But the Drupal 8 boom, which converted like the kind of the single structured PHP coding method into like an object-oriented method, really got developers gaining momentum. So developers starting actually contributing. They were interested. So the D8 party we held in Sri Lanka actually brought in 200 audience, which was a really big achievement for us at the time. So today we are a 50-member active group, but we have about more than 100 members in the group. But 50-member active group, we solve each other's problems from time to time, and going good, and hopefully we'll go good. So to this day, I'm fortunate enough to work with and train 10 developers, and I was also able to support one of the developers to get to this DrupalCon, which I'm very proud of, because I was given the opportunity by another person, and I was able to pass on the favor. So opportunities with Drupal. And as you can see, I work with all these clients in Drupal, and these are the people who trusted me enough and gave me opportunities while I was in like an unknown land, so all these countries contributed to get to where I am today, and I'm very thankful. And I was also able to start my company, my own startup. We are really small. We have 4 developers working. We just launched our website last month, so please have a look. And and I'm very thankful to the entire Drupal community for the smallest fix. It may be like the smallest typo that was amended. It always helped, because I think the documentation in Drupal.org really helped me get through most of the problems. Sites like Drupalize Me helped as well. And I'm very thankful. So usually I actually post stuff about Drupal on social media platforms, and people kind of argue on what the best CMS is. So my actual message is there is no best CMS. It's actually always about learning. It can be, a very insignificant platform, but there might be some thing to learn out of the platform that we can all take away. So just keep learning, and again, thank you to the entire Drupal community for supporting, a small country like us, for supporting developers from a small country like us. And yeah, do you have any questions? Yes?
So currently I live in the Philippines. Originally I come from Germany. And I noticed there are a lot of developers, new developers, they are leaving the universities with an IT degree, and they find it difficult to get started. Once they have done their first project, it's easier because they can prove experience. But how do they get, or how could we help them to get their first Drupal project? Any ideas about that?
One method I've learned is like going and talking to people. How I started was to get one thing is, first thing, before getting a project, it's hard to kind of find resources to actually do the project. So my first step was actually going to my university, my old university, and doing like a talk. And I just showed them how quickly we can get things up and running in Drupal. So that was the first step in getting stuff, people interested. Then my next step was to get the interest of the industry, right? And so what I did was I organized a meetup. I went and talked to companies and told them to bring people who are interested in Drupal, or people who are interested in actually hosting a website, new website. And that kind of worked, but nothing is permanent, right? People soon forget. But that actually worked because a lot of people interested came for that meetup. And then what I mentioned was to kind of develop trust in them. I mentioned all these sites running on Drupal, and there was at the time the White House site was running on Drupal, the Olympic site was running on Drupal, and all these big names. Because it's a small country, people don't know about Drupal, they don't trust Drupal. So when I mentioned all these names, I think that kind of triggered trust in them, and we got a few people there was this company called John Keels. They started their site on Drupal, and so now there is a couple of sites. There is Daily News Sri Lanka, who is running on Drupal, because I kind of introduced them to Drupal. And then there is Institute of Health Policy, who is running on Drupal right now. I'm supporting them. And another company also actually got into Drupal because they were interested in the projects outside. So that also kind of generates interest. So all these things coming together is kind of winning your first project, really. It boils down to the community. Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Ideal from Malaysia here. Just a question. You showed just now a few examples of websites in Sri Lanka using Drupal. How about the government agencies over there? How open are they? How many of them are using Drupal?
Yeah. So currently, I can't remember the exact government agency, but I think Ceylon Electricity Board was using Drupal, but they dropped it. And then Parliament LK was also using Drupal, but with the new government, they changed. So people have been changing, but a lot of the government sites are really not updated. You know, probably they were updated in the 1990s, right? But after COVID, people wanted a way to pay their bills. So that's when they wanted to, come up with a good payment system. So, but the trick there was they only built the payment portal new. Still their site was very old, right? The content was old, it was hard to kind of navigate and actually edit or update the content. So I am hopeful now to go and talk to some of the government agencies, because it's all a lot of content and they are not very complex websites also. They are very simple websites that can be easily converted to Drupal, right? So hopefully with the new government, there are no agendas, other agendas are really, stopping people from moving forward. So hopefully now people would be open to, moving into Drupal, and also them knowing that, governments in US and Australia and all these other countries are running on Drupal, kind of, can get the momentum going. But right now, about 2 agencies are running on Drupal. Yeah.
Because I think to answer your question, or maybe just give some insight, right? It's easier when you speak to students or people within that country, tell them, oh, the government is using Drupal for this site, for the oh yeah, right, okay, and then they are like, then become more what do you say,
Interested, yeah. Basically, we build trust amongst people about Drupal, because sometimes it's WordPress and people don't know what is good and bad. So WordPress also has its good things and Drupal has its good side, right? So, but I think for a more structured kind of environment, Drupal suits them more well, because there is like the user hierarchy, role-based, system, permission system, which is very well suited for like government agencies. Yeah.
So how will you maintain the group or the communities in Sri Lanka for the Drupal?
So I used to have meetups, but I was not in the country for some time. But now I'm back. So my main focus is right now, since Starshot is also coming up. So the community sometimes needs something big, right? Some big kind of event. That's how I kind of boost the community health. So we do have Drupal Sri Lanka, which is a Facebook page. From time to time, I put job vacancies here, and it generates a lot of interest, right? Because another problem we don't see is there are developers who don't have the skill, the knowledge about Drupal. It's really hard. For me, it usually takes 3 months or more for a Drupal developer to be properly trained, right? And this is him doing part-time. So I usually get a developer, okay, you complete your training, and if after you do like valid work for me for 3 months, I'll pay you for the training, right? That's how I generate interest. So hopefully this method has worked, and Isuru sitting right behind is one example of it. So he's doing amazing work with me right now. So that's how he came up as well. He was doing a full-time job, got him trained, and now he's working for me full-time. So great, yeah. And also we have the Drupal Sri Lanka group page in d.org. And we do have our Slack channel as well. We have like a separate Slack group. You can actually just, if you scroll down, you can find the Slack channel also. But I'll do a new post here so that everyone can get informed if anyone is interested, really.
You can imagine like us Asians, we like to lurk around, right? A lot of lurkers, but not really giving any
Yes.
ideas, and because we're kind of timid,
Yes.
So what, for us that's a challenge. So what would be your idea?
So now developers, for me a problem is developers think Drupal is dying, right? But what my message to them is, nothing is dying, you know. As long as there are people involved, it won't die. And as long as, so the technology gets improved, right? Now Starshot is coming, so the community is doing good work to keep things going, which is really good. People want to do Next.js, Node.js, all like the names that would come up. That's the reality of it. But once you get them interested, so actually again, Isuru was also another example. He was doing Next.js. So I said, okay, let's do Next.js, let's do DevOps, and let's do also Drupal. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't cost you. You just need to learn stuff. So actually one thing is to generate interest in a developer, to show that Drupal makes just your, you know, knowledge grow. That is the message I want to give actually everyone. So that, you know, once you learn coding in any language, I think it will help you learn other languages as well, which also I have done. So I have not only been developing in Drupal, I've been in Node.js, Python, and all these things. So yeah, I just wanted to generate interest. So yeah, finally, thank you for listening to me, and hopefully you will visit Sri Lanka. Hopefully some people will come and invest in Sri Lanka, start a few projects up, yeah, fire up a few projects. We have a good and healthy Drupal community. Always contact me. There are other people also who can be contacted. Yeah, so thank you. Hope you have a great DrupalCon.